Welcome to another episode, everyone. Today is a very special episode because there are not one, but two guests joining me on the show today. It's like a special bonus for you. And while we're talking about bonuses for you, you can still get 15% off at epicrollbjj.com with the coupon code podcast15. Gis, rash guards, t-shirts, shorts, hoodies, joggers, accessories, artwork, literally anything you could ever want related to Jiu Jitsu, Epic Roll has you covered. Epic Roll is gear designed by grapplers for grapplers, so don't waste any more money on stuff that wasn't actually designed for Jiu Jitsu. Plus, the stuff from Epic Roll looks great and is not super expensive like some other brands that way overcharge. And when you use the code podcast15, you can get 15% off your order. Give them a follow on the gram at epicrollbjj and make sure you tag them, and they might just give you a repost when you tag them in your new stuff. If you tag the show at @that_jiu-jitsu_podcast, I will definitely give you a repost if you're wearing Epic Roll stuff, so get to tagging. epicrollbjj.com, coupon code podcast15. My guests today are taking over the Instagram world of Jiu-Jitsu. If you are on Instagram or social media and you follow anything related to Jiu-Jitsu, you have for sure seen their content. I'm very excited to ask them all about their process, how they come up with the stuff they post, and how they keep such a demanding schedule of constantly keeping stuff in our feeds. Please welcome to the show, Nikky and Jordan Macy. Welcome to the show, guys. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Wow.
Meet you.
To everybody else, we already did this for like 5 minutes and then the computer stopped working. But Jordan, can you tell me the story again for everyone else besides me, how you got started in Jiu-Jitsu? Because that's the first thing that I always ask.
So I started watching UFC fights when I was a teenager, and I would try to emulate what I saw in fights and play tap out in the backyard with my buddies in the grass. And that eventually turned into seeking out instructionals on YouTube and trying to learn a little bit of something.
He's actually really good at telling this story by now.
I don't know.
You know, I'm doing my best for anyone who's watching the YouTube version of this. I'm doing my best to not seem like I'm not interested, but I just heard the story because the computer is stupid and Jordan had to tell it twice. So you did a very good job on the second time through, and I wish I could edit this all out, but I won't. But wow. Nikky, how did you get started in Jiu-Jitsu?
Like it's golden stuff.
Tell us, like it's the first time.
Like it's the first time I was telling you guys. How did I start it? No, I'm just joking. So I was one of the ladies, unfortunately, that got herself into a bad situation. So I started Jiu-Jitsu for self-defense. I'd never had any martial arts experience or anything like that in the past. I did a lot of weightlifting, CrossFit growing up, played a lot of sports, but no martial arts experience. I did Jiu-Jitsu for the first day and I was like, this is absolutely amazing. I got to be aggressive, which for a cultural like Filipino lady, that's not allowed. So it was a whole new experience that I was like, I'm addicted to this. I'm strong. Yeah. So I like stuck around and now I'm here. What, 3-4 years later? Close to 5 years later?
Yeah.
Seems about right.
The time just goes by so fast when you look at when you just look back, especially having as you get new belts and you look back and you're like, oh, when I was a white belt, I did this. When I was a blue belt, I did this. And it can seem like so far away because you feel like such like a different person because you just view jiu-jitsu and everything. And there's so many times when I'll be talking and my frame of reference and like, oh, when was that happening in my life? Oh, I think I was a blue belt. So that means that it was the year
Yeah, exactly.
How did you guys get started doing social media and posting the type of content that you do? Because I want to get into, all of the content and what you guys post, but just how did you get started?
Definitely his fault. So I'm going to let him tell you. If it was up to me, no.
I think during the initial lockdowns, we weren't really allowed to go to our gym. So we would put mats out in the garage and do our own little version of a jiu-jitsu class with our buddies and our roommates.
Mm-hmm.
And for whatever reason, we just figured it would be a good idea to start recording our moves we've been working on and share them with everybody else that could be at the gym.
Yeah.
And I think they look pretty janky at first.
They looked pretty janky at first. I think our first video was that powder keg, like it was him teaching me something. And I'm very visual and I have to like do things over and over again. So we like recorded it so that I could see how everything looked. And we were like, oh, this is kind of like interesting. Like, why don't we go ahead and just share this one with our friends and feed off of each other? And it just kind of like kept growing. He's definitely super into it.
Oh yeah.
He's the mastermind behind all of it. So
yeah, I've been spending so many hours just like researching all of what goes into making a video go viral and how to grow an Instagram page and whatnot.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's working. What you're doing is working because you guys are your stuff is huge. But that's something I like. You touched on videotaping things and being a visual learner. I always recommend to people that they record their roles and their training and everything because I started doing that to do like almost like a film study. And there's times when someone takes your back and you can't see what they did to get it, and you just have to sort of like piece it together in your brain. But if you have your camera going over there, you can like
it's so much
look
easier.
back and see. It's so much easier.
And like for me, like especially when jiu-jitsu was like before COVID, I always had to have Phil, my coach, do things. I liked it when he did things over and over again because you can like start looking at different things. Camera, it's super easy because you just go backwards and do it again.
Right.
Do it again. And you don't have to bug your coach.
Yeah.
Right. So, exactly.
Much better.
Well, so I don't know what your experiences with seminars are, but I think most seminars that I've been to, the instructors usually aren't super comfortable with you filming them.
Yeah.
But they recommend that you record yourself doing the technique that you just learned, so you can go back and see it for yourself. And I think we started realizing that some of those aren't too bad.
Yeah.
Right. And I think people like from like an audience perspective or a follower's perspective, people like to see quick clips that really show a technique. And like the difference between you recording technique and someone going to a class is you can put the camera in the exact right angle where you want them to see the exact right detail that you want them to see, where it's not always the case where you're on the mat and you're, looking from a bird's eye view right over the top of your instructor going through a technique.
Yeah,
exactly. So it's lots of fun doing it that way. If you go way back on our Instagram pages, you can see kind of like the development of how we've been figuring all of this out. I think before we used to be like super far away because they were like, they want to see everything. But nowadays it's like zoomed up on his hip or my foot, which I feel like is really weird. But I'm just like, close my eyes and do it. I'm like, fine, this is fine. Just really close my
Yeah, there's something.
You just got to trust the mastermind.
This guy right here.
It seems like everybody wants to get like both of the participants' body in the frame when really you only need just one little detail.
This guy.
Yeah. Like if it's a grip, I don't need to see your entire body. I don't need to see your feet in the video if all I'm focusing on is a grip,
Yeah, and it's one of those things too where it's like, just as someone who also is a super nerd about like what happens on Instagram, what happens on YouTube, how do things go, and like tracking what videos do well and what don't, I have found that like the framing is super important, and that if you are super zoomed out or too zoomed in, like that's enough to make your video not get seen because people just like swipe past it. And it's such a trial and error phase of how do I get things to really pop. But you had mentioned doing like working on showing Nikky technique or working on stuff you are working on.
Yeah.
Is that still where a lot of your content comes from? Or are you thinking ahead of like, this is something that I really want to show, or I saw this and I put my own spin on it? Like, where are the ideas coming from?
A little bit of both.
Yeah, I'd say a little bit of both. I'd say a good majority of it comes from things we personally like to do.
Yeah.
Or we would like to be better at. Mm-hmm. And it's like an excuse to get more drilling in every time we film.
I know when we started out, it was really what we liked to do. So like for me, a lot of the back control, head and arm, turtle positions. For him, it was like learning leg locks. And he was really finding that. He honestly got into the buggy choke so early on that like we kept filming those over and over again. And those really seemed to be a big hit. Yeah. So it was us being able to get those reps in them. Or like if he needed to show me something, it was those reps. If I wanted to show him something. Nowadays, it's like a lot of inspiration from classes.
Yeah.
Like Phil will show something and we'll be like, oh, that's so cool. Let's rep it more. And then like show people how to rep it too. I feel like the majority of it is classes nowadays though.
Yeah. Or things we just haven't touched on. Yeah. Sometimes we'll ask people like, what do you want to see? I'm out of ideas. Help me out.
It seems like you guys are posting a ton of stuff. Yeah. Like at least every day, sometimes more than once a day.
Mm-hmm.
Do you ever feel the pressure of like, okay, I have 10 videos that are done that I can post. Like, what are we going to do next? Or is it more organic where you just sort of seem to constantly have those ideas flowing?
Sometimes we're scrapping. We're like, we got to find something. But for the most part, we
got our flow down.
Yeah, we get into the groove of things. So at 10 Planet Portland, we organize our curriculum with modules throughout the year.
Okay.
There's like how many modules?
Oh, shoot. I should know this off the top of my head. But I don't. I know it takes like 3 months, I feel like, to get through all the modules. And it's 2 weeks each module. So math.
Yeah. It keeps us in a team for 2 weeks at a time. Like we'll work on spider web for 2 weeks.
Half guard,
rubber guard, etc.
So that helps us. Honestly, like I feel like that the organizational part is kind of my fault because I'm very like A type or type A. So because I'm not good at being in front of the camera, I tell him like he has to plan everything. So during the week, he's honestly planning everything that we're going to film for Sunday. So if something happens in class, we'll write it down. If we have like an idea, or if we see someone else on Instagram, like, oh, we want to try that, we'll write it down. Yeah. So by the time Sunday comes, we have like this whole list of things we can just try. And for us, it's really tricky because we actually do it with a tripod. So like no one's ever following us around or anything like that.
Yeah.
Some things we just can't do, at least yet. We haven't figured that part out. Like all the rolling cool things that we want to do, we haven't quite figured out how to do yet.
It's got to get kind of creative.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or you're gonna have to like pay a kid to come in and follow you around.
Honestly, we have a kid.
Yeah.
There is a kid that we're talking to her about like, hey, she's really artistic. And she has helped us with some of our filming in the past. She's one of the kids from our other classmate. She's trying to figure out the filming, the photography. She's helped me with some like posters that I've made. So she's wanting to do that, but she's a really good babysitter right now. So she's babysitting all the little babies in the gym. So she's so busy with school and everything like that. We haven't had the heart to like pull her away, but we might have someone soon.
You just recruit a new intern and tell her like, listen,
an intern.
You're coming for a few hours once a week. Yeah.
Put out a job listing on Indeed or something.
Help us film.
What was it like when you really went from getting started to now you guys are getting hundreds of thousands of views on pretty much everything you posted? Can you pinpoint one video that was like, oh, that really started everything, or was it more gradual?
So I think the first video that we posted actually did really well.
Yeah.
And it
that
kind of
powder cake one.
Yeah.
The powder cake one really did good. Honestly, when I started realizing things were actually really happening, we had this mini series that we were trying to do. We were calling it a series. The like Fix My Submission series, where we would point out like what people try and do and what we should be doing. And I remember doing those videos and we're like, holy hell, these are really just rolling and going.
Yeah.
And people seem to really like these.
Or hate them.
We got lots of hate on those too. I remember waking up and like we'd look at our phones with like 100 likes, 100 followers. Like every time we like opened our phone, we were like, what is going on? Yeah. This is weird.
Yeah, I get to the point where you have to like turn the alerts off on your phone because it just
goes off all the time.
Stress you out all day.
It did. It stressed me out.
And it was so simple.
I'm socially awkward.
We'd just be doing a technique. Maybe you could say poorly, just looking like I'm really struggling to do something. I just shake my head at the camera or like wiggle my finger and then add some details that would help you out.
We should do those again, actually.
People get real offended. They're like, I do it like that all the time.
This is right.
Yeah, problems.
We figured out later on, like maybe it was the name of the series that really messed that whole thing up, but it seemed to really get the whole thing going. So that was interesting. And then we noticed controversy was a huge thing on Instagram. Like people want to tell you you're wrong. all the time.
Oh yeah.
So all the things that we can do to tell people like, hey, tell us we're wrong. Like that's what we've been trying to find too. So like, that's why I feel like his buggy videos blow up all the time. Like no matter what, his videos do well.
It's just like the nature of like social media, and people want to comment how wrong things are. Like I posted something the other day where I've really gotten into, and this might be like, I don't want to say troll behavior because I don't tag the people to tell them they suck. But like if I see something that's just garbage technique on Instagram, I'm like, I need to post this to tell people this doesn't work. And I've been posting just like more stuff that won't work, like things that won't work.
Yeah.
So I posted a video, like it was like 2 weeks ago, and it was, just this will never work. This is just an armbar that just will never work.
Mm-hmm.
The cover photo was the words "this will never work." The caption was like "this will never work," whatever. I still got a direct message from someone to say, "Hey, you're doing this wrong, and it won't work. Like this is not going to work."
Yeah. Like,
I try not to reply to like obviously like hating people, but I had to reply and say that's not me in the video, and that's why I said it won't work. But people just want to comment. They just want to feel like they're telling you you're doing something wrong.
Yeah. They love it. I don't know why.
I've learned to embrace it.
He loves the.
Oh, bring it on.
He loves the troll.
You're better than me. You're better than me because I get so mad I have to like just stop looking at the messages.
Me too.
See, that's what they want from you. But if you can just be like, hey, this is engagement. It's still good, even if it's negative.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, egg them on a little bit. Have fun with it.
How would you do it better? Send me a video.
Yeah.
That's honestly what he does. He'll be like, bet you can't do this. Can you do it? Like, okay, you don't even train. Like he purposely eggs people on sometimes. And it's just, my phone will go off even more because of it. I'm like, stop.
I had to stop tagging people because they get a notification every time I reply. And they're going to start thinking I'm an asshole, but
he's actually
just playing the game.
He's very friendly. He loves the technique. He's super open.
I think some of the videos we post are questionable.
Oh, totally. On purpose.
Yeah. You leave them a little open-ended. I try to try out every technique in sparring a few times, make sure it's not completely garbage. But most of the time, it's usually a matter of preference.
Yeah.
Like with the buggy choke, I think the days of saying buggy chokes don't work are over. They might not work for you, but they work for somebody.
The Rotolos are taking care of that for us. That the buggy choke is working.
Does great with the buggy choke.
You can't be winning championships with a choke and say it's
right.
It doesn't work.
Just because you have poor hip flexibility doesn't mean that the buggy choke does not work. You know?
And that's a thing. It's not for everybody.
Little legs really work for me either. I think I tried at least 3 times today during open mat, and I was like, I can't do
it.
Yeah. I mean,
there are consequences.
It's not for everyone. But that doesn't mean it doesn't work. You know what I mean? It doesn't mean that it's not a good technique. But
I think if somebody out there has done it, it can be done.
Right. And but I think there's a difference between posting like you said, open-ended, like, what do you think about this? How could you make this work? Could you make this work? As opposed to posting like,
this is absolute.
Just nonsense things that it will never ever work unless the person is letting you do it. And like, I think that's a thin line that there are a lot of people who like try to reverse engineer videos where they're like, oh, videos that like have flying submissions do really well. So I'm going to, flying whatever, and it doesn't ever work, but they think it'll get the views. And it's like,
kind of does.
You're doing more harm than good, Right.
Yeah. I mean, I think flying things work. We see them at high level competitions, but
not for everybody again. It's not for everybody.
It's not for everybody. You got to be athletic. You got to be imposing.
I'm little and I cannot fly. I just don't fly.
Thinking that you're going to like flying back take Kimura. It's not a thing, man. Like, it's just not going to happen. Like it.
Yeah.
I need to see a technique work like 3 times from a good competitor before I'm like, okay, that works. Because anyone can happen to fall into something one time. You might happen to jump as he shot and you wound up on his back. your flying back take is not going to work over and over and over again. So stop posting it like it's a great technique. You know what I mean?
Only on accidents.
Oh yeah, only on accident, or at least acknowledge this would never happen again. But don't post like, here's my instructional on how to do it. You know?
Yeah. Well, I hope that people that are posting crazy things, they use that as inspiration to go out in competitions and make it happen.
Yeah.
You know, like
yeah. Send me the video. If I'm wrong, send me the video of you doing it in competition against a high level person.
You see him just flying.
My wrist locks. Just waving.
Tomorrow you're gonna film a whole week's worth of videos where it's all Anderson Silva getting tapped by flying heel hook videos, and you're gonna tag me in all of them, and I'm gonna look like a jerk.
It's gonna be great. Be ready.
Do you guys usually film like all of your stuff at once? Do you do like one big filming session each week?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we used to try to film as we go, and that's just so stressful.
Yeah, and I get I don't know about you guys, I get super grumpy after training, especially if it was like a hard training day. So like to like go in front of a camera when you're not feeling great, or if you had a bad day, it's just not in the books for me.
Yeah.
And like I really wanted to be supportive and like help him get all these videos out. So we were like, all right, we're going to batch on Sunday. We even do it to where we're only filming every other week. So we actually film like 14 videos on one day.
Yeah.
But that way it gives me my break from like being in front of the camera all the time. And I feel like I can just train to train instead of like doing all these videos.
Yeah.
The batching helps a ton for anyone that like wants to do something like this. Batching is definitely the way to go.
Yeah, it saves you some burnout.
So much time too.
Well, I was going to ask, how do you balance that like filming content and training? But it sounds like you guys have a pretty good flow of what you're doing now.
Yeah. Now we do. I used to have very grumpy days. I'm a grumpy individual.
Yeah, you got to spread it out.
You got to spread it out.
I think what we found is that works best for us is to film all within maybe an hour time frame on the weekend, and then wait till later in the night to clip up all the videos we made and edit them just how we want them.
Yeah.
And then you put another set of time to
batch them all on the
captions. Yeah. Make it all ready to finally hit that post button. But
it's just so stressful. Yeah. It's just so stressful to have everything just like trying to get it out so quick. And then
and then too, like for me, I'm always very picky about like how my technique looks. He does a little bit better just doing it, and he's like, all right, this is good. I'm like, no, this is slightly off. I could do this better.
Yeah.
So that like if we were doing it every day, like that never worked either. But that's also why you never really see me doing a lot of things.
You're giving me a whole new way to view your videos now. This backstory is giving me a whole new way to view your content.
Like people always complain that I'm never doing things, but honestly, like I'm just so picky and I'm shy, honestly. Like I'm shy in front of the camera, so we would never get done if I was the one doing them. Never.
I'll just let you know that's not coming across very well in this conversation that you're shy in front of the camera, but I will take your word for it. But.
Thank you. I'm trying. I'm just awkward.
Camera loves you.
But he just does much better with that stuff, and it's faster when he does them.
Yeah, it just really helps if I lower my standards. I'm just like, yeah, this is good enough. You know? I think there's something to it. Like if it's not perfect, someone will tell you. Just like, hey, that's more engagement. You know, it's not all bad. I think you have to like use the negativity that may or may not come across and just accept it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Would you say that you feel like since you've been very involved with the social media stuff, has that improved your game overall more than it would have improved without it?
Yeah, I think the time I put into editing videos where I just constantly go back over a technique that we filmed.
Yeah.
And just kind of splice it out. It gives me a chance to dissect the technique. You're like, is this bullshit? Is this really
is it actually
good?
Or could I be a little bit more like higher on the elbow next time? Like, would that be better? It does give you an interesting, it's like almost a study hall when we're editing.
Yeah.
So it has changed. I know my game has changed a bit since we started doing these videos. I feel like you just adjust your game.
Improv.
Yeah. One of those natural freak athletes over here. It's fine. It's fine. I have to work my ass off. He's all natural at it. It's fine. But
that's not at all frustrating at all.
It's not. Yeah, it's not at all frustrating. Honestly, like sometimes too, we'll be at the gym and people are like, "Oh, Jordan's so great at all of this." And I'm sitting there like, "This is great." I'm not jealous at all.
This is fine. No one talked
fine.
to me, but this is fine.
I married him. I got good things. It's fine.
Well, before I let you guys go, what do you guys have sort of, you don't have to give me away your whole batch that you're filming in the next, 3 weeks, but what maybe can we look forward to, or things that maybe you have in the works?
What's on our list? Do you have our list?
I got some headlocks in the works.
Mm-hmm.
Are you familiar with the Executioner?
Yes, I am.
I don't think we've ever filmed an Executioner.
We might be filming an Executioner.
It's not something you see very often either. In like
BMAC,
breakdowns or.
Yeah, BMAC I think has a breakdown that he's recently done. I think that's what put it in his grain.
Oh yeah.
So there is a breakdown on BMAC's page. But we've never done it. I'm actually not looking forward to filming that one, but we're
I was gonna say, are we gonna like change roles a little bit for this one? Or
we might if I give up halfway. But
okay.
A lot of headlock stuff, I think, is what we're going for soon.
Yeah, cool. It'll be fun. It's about time. I need to give the buggy choke and leg locks a break.
A little breather so you can refresh and then come back.
Yeah. Well, and it's funny too because we actually we have opposite games. Kind of. I like arm bars, headlocks. He's more about the legs, bottom. I like to be, no, actually, you like the top. I'd rather fight from bottom, which is weird because I'm smaller. Yeah. But like, so it's been a lot of his stuff lately. So you might be seeing a lot more stuff but him doing it probably.
It's time for her to get her shine.
Yeah. That's a good teaser. I like that. We're going to see maybe a little change here. We're going to see more Nikky choking Jordan. All right.
Yeah, I think
I don't mind doing that one. That one's easy for me.
Well, I'm assuming that if people are tuning into this episode that they are already following you, but if they're not, just let everyone know where they can find more of your stuff.
You can find me at Just Jordan Jiu Jitsu.
Nikitix is mine.
On most platforms.
Yeah. We're mostly on Instagram. I think he did TikTok a little bit, but you'll find the majority of our stuff on I almost said TikTok, Instagram.
Yeah. Cool. I will link to your stuff down in the description below so people can just click and give you guys a follow. You don't have to answer if you want to keep it a secret, but is there any thoughts of maybe doing like YouTube stuff with a little more longer form? Is that something that you've considered?
That's not out of the question.
We've talked about it.
Yeah, I've dabbled in the shorts. It's really just the same content on YouTube, but we could probably do some more long form content eventually. We
want to do more long form. At least I'm wanting to get into it. The thing that we're really wanting to work on is perfecting that coaching style. It's one thing to like film little bits and parts of like a technique here and there, but to actually be able to describe and explain a technique properly, we want to make sure we do that properly and appropriately. That's the right description. Before we start doing like the longs, but it's definitely something we've talked about.
Obviously, I'm a big fan of your content, so if I'm just trying to like selfishly get a little bit more longer form stuff, so if you guys maybe don't want to do it, you probably should, just for my own personal benefit. But
perfect.
I'd appreciate that.
We'll have one subscriber.
No, I'm not close to it at all.
Yeah,
it would just be more work to throw on the pile.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing too, is you start editing these longer form videos. It's not as easy as, not that I'm not saying what you're doing is easy. Please don't take it that way, but it's not as easy as doing shorter when you're trying to make a cohesive longer form video, not have a bunch of jump cuts because you messed up what you were saying, because that's what I do.
Yeah.
As you can probably tell.
I feel like that would be the hardest part, like getting a sentence out clearly, instead of me just like pointing at things, using the camera to say everything. Yeah, that's an art in itself.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. We're just purple belts right now too, so I think we're like wanting to expand on our game and like really find that before we figure all that jazz out. But
go compete more, go teach more.
He's wanting to do some big time competitions, or start getting back into competitions, I should say.
Yeah.
It's been a little bit, but hopefully we can do all that soon.
Yeah.
I hope you guys do it. And I appreciate you guys coming on and chatting with me. I'm sorry we had some computer problems, but I appreciate you guys just rolling with it. And I really enjoyed talking with you guys. I hope that we can maybe do this again in the future. And please make sure you tag me in anything that you think is open-ended, and I will come defend and fight against some of these stupid trolls who are going to be hating on you, because it makes me really angry, and I'll be happy to fight on your behalf.
You're amazing.
Hey, I'll hold you to it.
Yeah.
I need all the help.
We're going to start tagging everything.
Yeah.
So much hate.
My phone's going to be blowing up, and I'm going to be thinking it's like haters on my page, but it's haters on yours, and that's fine. I'll just... It just takes one to get me riled up.
Hi guys.
Hey, you need a tag team, buddy. I got you.
He's so good at it. You guys just go.
All right.
I'll just.
All right. If I'm like busy with work or something, and someone's being a jerk to me on my page, I'll just tag you, and you can come in and handle it for me, and that way it'll save me the aggravation, and then I'll get you back next time.
Perfect. There you go.
Thank you guys so much for coming on. I really do appreciate it, and keep posting cool stuff, because as I am getting back into being able to train after surgery, I really like seeing stuff posted and then trying to apply it in my own life. So I'm looking forward to executioner stuff and whatever else you guys have coming.
Hell yeah.
Thank you. This was so much fun.
It was. Thank you so much for having us. Let's do it again sometime.
Absolutely. For sure. Just to hang out and just chat for a little bit. I had a lot of fun with you guys. So I really appreciate it. And I hopefully we'll talk to you guys soon.
Sounds good.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Have a good night.
You too.
Huge thank you to Nikki and Jordan for coming on the show today. If you are not already following them, I highly, highly, highly suggest you do so. I put all of their links below in the description, so please check that out. There are some more videos over here that I think you should definitely watch next, because they're really good, and I'm not just saying that because I made them. Thank you all, as always, and I will see you next time.